You know, uh, perhaps to a certain extent, you can say that yesterday the beatdown was quite significant, especially at the broader end of the spectrum. And some of the numbers that have come through today on the earnings front have actually been quite positive. You've had either meets or beats on the numbers that have been reported, and quite a few of those companies have been soaring in trade. In fact, let's pull up the sectoral picture just to give you a sense of what is moving and what is not. And you have the digital index, you have the IT companies that are doing particularly well in trade today. You have the auto pack that is doing quite well. The media index, the pharma index, remember it's going to be in focus today on account of Dr. Reddy's Laboratories. That will perhaps be after market hours. But you have everything from healthcare up, you have metals that is up about 0.8%. Now, realty as a pack has been beaten down quite substantially over the course of the last few trading sessions, and even that is not doing too badly as we speak right now. But let's talk about a few of the numbers that stand out, and I was quite surprised about Pidilite. Let's pull up Pidilite as well and see where it currently stands. You have the numbers that came in line with expectations. The guidance or the outlook was changed from optimistic to cautiously optimistic, which led me to believe that perhaps things were not going to be taken well by the street. But clearly the street seems to be penciling in that in the context that the company is operating in right now, which is not the easiest environment to work in, it's done pretty well.
Absolutely. And 9% volume growth. Otherwise, in the entire painting space as well as the, space Pidilite is operating in,
building
the waterproofing
and
building materials. 9% volume growth, of course, on the back of what's happening, in terms of the demand scenario, it's very good. But they've always guided for a double-digit volume growth, which is not achieved so far in 9 months FY25. I believe the street is still not penciled that. We'll have to wait and watch as to how the con-call commentary pans out. It's at 4 o'clock today. But, some other counters which are doing well is Coforge. Coforge order executable was up around 40%. Even constant currency term, it grew by around 8.4%, and we're seeing 11% gain. So I think, the markets are just making sure that if the earnings are good, the commentary is good, and if the valuations are good, they are seeing a huge uptick when it comes to the stock performance. But even the slightest, miss or, some kind of cautious commentary coming in from management, the stock is literally taking a beating.
Speaking of valuations, Persistent Systems, a company that we spoke to, and we'll have that interview for you shortly, it's up about 9.5% as we speak right now because the numbers were good. There was a note, if I'm not mistaken, by Goldman Sachs. I'll have to check that, but what they were saying essentially is that the only reason they have a neutral rating is because the valuations look a little stretched. Well, they're looking stretched right now as well then, if that is the case. But we've got our first caller in. Let me introduce our experts for the day. We've got Mr. Chokalingam joining as well as Kush Bora. Gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time, and good morning to the both of you. The first caller that we've got is talking about a company that is doing quite well in trade today, and that is Wipro. Sandeep is calling us from Bengaluru. Sandeep, good morning. You've bought at levels of 283, which, if you look at it today, is a very good buy price. What is the kind of thinking you had when you bought Wipro?
I bought because the fundamentals were good for Wipro. I thought of buying that.
Okay, and so because you've bought on the basis of the fundamentals, can I assume that you're planning to hold for the long term, Sandeep?
Yeah, I'm planning it for 3 to 4 months.
Okay, only 3 to 4 months. So then what you're looking for is whether or not to keep holding or to exit at this point. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. And would you want to deploy what you gain from the trade with Wipro? You want to buy something else, maybe?
Yeah.
You want to buy something else. Okay, Kush, then on the technicals, I'll come to you. It's seeing a pop today, 4% higher. And if I'm not mistaken, the top performer on the Nifty 50 as well. Would you sell Wipro at this point?
Hi, Alex. Hi, Mr. Chokalingam. Well, to answer Sandeep's question, I wouldn't sell. See, the Wipro stock has been a bit of a dark horse, much like Kotak Mahindra has been in the banking space. But if you look at the moves that it has been making from somewhere mid November 2023, had its fair share of volatility. But from thereafter May 24, the stock's actually been on the way up. Most of the averages also, if you see, are sloping upwards. And now with the kind of results that it's announced and the follow-up moves that we are seeing, it's broken past that 300 resistance band that it was facing for some time now. Now the stock is at a multi-year high. The last time around the stock was at this level was somewhere close to Jan of 2022. So over 2 3 years have passed. This kind of a breakout with such a volume-backed move is typically a little sustainable. So what I would suggest is that now, since he's bought at 283 kind of levels, have a strict stop loss near the 300 mark, which was the resistance and will now act as a support, and ride this wave, ride this momentum. On the upside, now the targets that are setting for Wipro are first 340, and once that is taken out, you're looking at a 355 as well. So I would continue riding on to this momentum because of this multi-year breakout, but with a very strict trailing stop loss around the 300 mark.
Trading stop loss of 300, but we'll ride on the momentum is the view coming on Wipro. Moving on from one IT stock to the other, Chandra from Salem is holding 200 shares of Happiest Minds at an average price of 860, and he's holding this from a long-term view. He's sitting on a small loss of his loss is not small. It's around 26,000 odd rupees. He wants to know as to what should be his strategy, given that he's willing to hold the stock for the next 3 years. Mr. Chokalingam, good morning to you. Your view on Happiest Minds?
It is valuation is extraordinarily stretched for Happiest Mind. That is why even in the bull market it did not participate in the last 2 years. I would go by valuation comfort. I would prefer Scient to Happiest Mind. Scient is much cheaper than Happiest Mind, and secondly, it has got recently floated one subsidiary for semiconductors. And there's a lot of moves on activating that semiconductor business. And Scient already proven its ability in floating a subsidiary and then listing it, unlocking value for itself. That was Scient DLM. So after having seen that kind of achievement, I would have a lot of confidence in Scient that it would be able to succeed in semiconductor business as well. So therefore, I would personally recommend Scient. I would prefer Scient to Happiest Minds.
All right. Preferring Scient over Happiest Minds is the view coming in from Mr. Chokalingam. Moving on to the next caller, Naveen from Vizag is calling in. A very good morning to you, Naveen. How can we help you?
Hi, Mahima. Good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead with your query, Naveen.
Yeah, so I have 140 shares of Varun Beverages at around 306 price point.
Okay.
So I just want to understand the long-term point of view, like more than 4-5 years, in fact, I can say.
All right. Any particular reason as to why you bought Varun Beverages, and when did you buy them exactly?
So I was investing from 2022. In fact, it is my 306 is my average price after the what you call bonus and all the stuff. Right. So the main reason is two things. One is the growth the top line, bottom line, the revenue and the profit is doubled in 2020 and 21-22 kind of area.
Right.
Also, the second area of business that they're in, since it's in the soft drink business and the namkeen and all.
Right.
So I feel like we don't have any Coca-Cola presence in India, so we can't invest.
Right.
So there is an alternative is the Pepsi, so we can invest. Since we run a grocery store in my hometown, I have a grocery store. So from my childhood, I'm looking at these products. So there is no one year like where these products have shut down or something. So that's why I'm keeping it for the long term, in fact.
All right. I think that's an excellent approach to buying a stock. And since you're owning stores and you know how these sales take place, it's the right way to judge whether to buy the stock or not. Mr. Chokalingam, I'll come to you. He's analyzed the stock very well. Couple of things happening with Varun Beverages. On the positive side, their expansion in Africa, in the snacking business as well. But on the negative side, there is competition coming in from Campa Cola. Do you think that competition will significantly hamper Varun Beverages?
Quite possible. I mean, of course, it has done extremely well in terms of growth for the last 4-5 years, and that is reflected in the valuation also. Yes, it's a hold for long-term 4-5 years, but the already Reliance has built around 8,000 crore of FMCG business. all other FMCG companies also going to activate because the whole sector is growing in single digit. So no doubt the competition is going to be there. It's a hold for long term, considering the past and also considering the recent severe correction of the stock price. But personally, I would prefer, for somebody who is willing to wait for 4 to 5 years, I would prefer a CDSL to Varun Beverage, because at least for next 4 to 5 years, it is going to remain as a duopoly market, only 2 players, and the growth is assured because more than 20 crore investors are there now. Last 3 years, 10 crore investors are added. So I don't have any concern on threat to the growth for CDSL, which is cheaper than Varun Beverage. But otherwise, somebody likes it, it's a hold for long term, Varun Beverage.
Industry, but there's the pick that Mr. Chokalingam has given you. But I really do like the way that you've thought about how you are investing in the stocks that you are buying, Naveen. And who better than a customer of a product or even a seller of a product to understand whether or not to bet on that company that is manufacturing it. Let's talk about Afreen's question, and she's writing in from Hyderabad. She's writing in asking about Vijaya Diagnostic, which is something that she's acquired at an average price of 1,115. And she bought it sometime this month, in fact. So the stock is not too far away from, or actually it is about 100 rupees off from her buy price. But she's bought 20 or so, and she's looking for a long-term perspective on this. It's a South-based diagnostic Medicare service provider. Mr. Chokalingam, do you have coverage first of all, and would you hold on to something like this?
We don't have coverage, but I have looked at it. It's a great company, but the valuation is not great. It's already priced in. So I would give a buy call only if it falls at least another 10% or 15% from the current level.
Anything else in the diagnostic space that is looking attractive right now?
Across the board, all of them have participated in the massive bull run. So after the 16 lakh crore of erosion in the overall market cap in the in the last few months, I find a lot more opportunities outside diagnostic business. So therefore, I don't have any active buy call on within the diagnostic sector.
Point well taken, because while the benchmarks on the broader end may have cracked about 10% or thereabouts, you have a lot of stocks that have dropped 30% even and fallen from their all-time highs. We've got a caller, Karthik, who's calling us from Bengaluru. Morning, Karthik. I believe you want to know about Jio Financial Services?
Yes, that's right.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, see, I bought Jio Financial Services at around 320.
Right.
So around 250 shares.
Okay.
So I just wanted to check. I want to keep this for a long term, for a minimum of 1 year.
Okay.
So now is it good time to average it out, considering the price is going down?
Understood.
So
okay.
I wanted to know about that.
Okay, I know that Kush is not really a fan of the strategy that you're just talking about, but I will still ask him whether or not to add to your holding right now. Kush, what's the view on Jio Financial Services?
Spot on, Alex. Not a big fan of averaging, but this is a stock that we've been recommending for a while. To add or hold from a long-term perspective. Now, yes, I'm not a big fan of averaging, but there are very few select scenarios where averaging or at least buying at lower levels, makes sense. Jio Financial at the moment is fitting that bill because we are seeing some sort of positive divergence, on the chart. We are seeing volumes pick up in the last couple of days. So it might not be a bad idea, especially given that his view is, anywhere from 12 months, and higher actually. So it's not a bad idea to accumulate at this level. However, I wouldn't suggest, an equal amount. So let's say if he's already bought for 100%, 100 rupees, you should not go out and buy right now for another 100, maybe 25, maybe 50, because the kind of market scenario that we are in, the stock could perhaps slip a little further. But if you've already bought at 320 levels, if you're looking at levels of 260 thereabouts, it does make a compelling case for buying at lower levels, especially when the stock is showing some sort of a rebound. So average, but for a smaller quantity, there might be room on the downside. But from a 12-month perspective, I think this is a good level to keep the SIP going or maybe accumulate some more.
Right. That's the view coming on Jio Financial. The next query is on Irida. I believe Ravi Suresh has purchased 100 shares, bought at 254 a piece, and he's sitting on a loss of 5,000 odd rupees right now. He wants to know whether he should hold or exit. He's not mentioned the time frame. Kush, I'll come to you again. Irida on the charts.
Well, the stocks have been fairly volatile. It's below the 200-day moving average, all of those things. But right now, it is at a very crucial support zone. If you draw, an upwards, a trend line, then it will be upward sloping, and hence, you have to hold for now. So my suggestion would be hold. Give yourself, some more room, some more chance for the stock to rebound. The stop loss isn't too deep. About 190 thereabouts is a good support zone. If it does hold on, then you can see, a spike on the upside once again. While this loss might deepen a little bit, I think a stop loss around 190 will give the investor a fair bit of chance to see a rebound on this one. So Irida is a hold, but with a strict stop loss at 190.
Kush, I know that normally you take a break on the weekend, and generally I think you must be going to your farmhouse outside the city or one of your other properties in the various cities in the country. But on Saturday, you're going to spend some time with us, as I understand it, because there is, of course, an investor camp that we've organized, and Kush has been very kind, and he said that he's going to participate in this. And to that end, why don't you send us your questions? There are 2 days to go. Saturday is when we do this, and we've got a whole host of very prominent individuals in the market, the likes of Mr. Ramesh Damani, we've got Mr. Prashant Khemka, as well as Nilesh Shah of Envision Capital. Kush Bora, I've already told you about. We've got Gautam Shah, who's the founder of Goldilocks. And we've also got Saurabh Mukherjee. So the idea is that you can send us your question on the number that you see on your screen, but we'd love for it to be a video question that you send, because we've been seeing your names and we've been seeing your messages for so long. We would love to put a face to it. Meenu from Thiruvananthapuram is calling us. Meenu, why don't you send us your question on video as well? It would be great to see your face. Thanks so much for calling us. How can we help you today?
Okay, hello. Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
My question is regarding about Devyani International.
Okay.
Is it good to invest in Devyani International for long term?
Okay, so you've got okay. Why do you like the stock, Meenu?
Actually, I have some stocks in VBL, Varun Beverages. So the Varun Beverages and Devyani International are under the same company.
Okay.
RJ Pro. So
same area, same business operation.
Yeah.
No.
So Devyani International is in the QSR business, but Varun Beverages is into the bottling business for Coca-Cola. So, but definitely, Meenu, we can take your question up with Mr. Chokalingam. Mr. Chokalingam, we've seen QSRs, performing in a mixed way this quarter. I mean, as far as the business updates are concerned. But Devyani International specifically, do you think it's the right time to buy that stock?
I won't give a buy call. I looked at the fundamentals, extraordinarily stretched in terms of valuation. So I would sell even at the current level.
All right, so sell at the current levels.
Is there anything else? Let me ask this. Is there anything else, Mr. Chokalingam, in the QSR space that looks attractive to you? Because some of these names did get beaten down a little bit. So is anything looking attractive to you?
I'm sorry. I mean, I would say that investors should not love the business or segment. They should love making money in the market. So therefore, I find a lot of opportunities outside the space. If you permit me, just to give an example, Taj GVK Hotel, Indian Hotel Joint Venture. Personally, we do not hold the stock. It's amazing stock. I mean, it's the cheapest hotel stock, and hotel industry is booming. The management itself has said that the second half would be better, and they have a hotel in Mumbai along with the joint venture with the Indian Hotel. So when you find such an amazing business, amazing companies, so I would and also corrected recently. So I would prefer such stocks rather than investors choosing a particular sector. I think they should leave that to the professionals, and they should start making money rather than liking the sector or business.
So
that's my point.
It's good advice.
Yeah, absolutely. The next question is from Anshuman, who's from Hyderabad. The query is on 5-Star Business Finance Limited. Now, he's bought at the levels of 770. And this was in Feb 2024, 1 year back, and since then it's been range bound. Should I wait or exit at this current level is the view that he wants. Kush, I'll come to you. Yesterday, I think in the last half an hour of the trade, we saw that the stock saw a spike in terms of its movement. But I'm not sure if there was a specific trigger to that. But 1 year view, what's the view with respect to the charts?
Sure, Mahima. Before that, on Saturday, among other things that Alex mentioned, I also play a lot of cricket. And I've cancelled a very important tournament match just to be on that show. Quite happily, I might add. So I am also looking forward to a lot of queries and a lot of interactions from all the viewers. So yes, please do keep sending your queries in. We are all very excited to get there, get out, and answer all your queries and help you in the best way we can. So yes, looking forward to the Saturday interaction with everyone.
Absolutely.
So, regarding 5-star, Mahima, I think you're right that the stock saw a very big spike yesterday, especially during close on the back of fairly decent volume. I might add, nothing very impressive, but definitely better than the last average of the last 15-20 sessions, about the last month session. Now the stock has a very strong support near the 630 mark. Yesterday also, if you see, the low was again near the 633 level. So to answer the question very specifically, yes, continue to hold from 1 month perspective, but keep a tight stop loss near the 630 level. If that is broken, the the setup will turn a little negative. But now you're starting to see positive divergences. You're starting to see the stock take support and rebound from those levels. So continue to hold. On the upside, the first level that I will actually watch for is 710. Once that is taken out, you're looking at the 750 as well from a 12-month perspective. So continue to hold on 5-star. The stop loss is at 630.
Hold with a stop loss of 630 is the view coming in on 5-star business. Moving on to the next caller, Deepak from Gurugram is calling in. Deepak, a very good morning to you. How can we help you?
Yeah, morning. Good morning. I was holding KPIT Technologies stocks for over a month actually.
Right.
For at 1460, 500 shares.
Okay.
I see that it's running around 1322 right now. I have a long-term view, so I just want to understand what's the future roadmap here.
Right. Why did you specifically buy KPIT Tech?
Yeah, I'm just looking at their roadmap overall. I think they're into software development and integration into automobiles, and I think they secured good orders from Europe. So generally looking at the domain here, I think it should pay off in long term. Yeah.
Understood. Mr. Chokalingam, your view on KPIT Technologies?
I would not hold KPIT. It is trading at over 45 PE. I think in the meltdown, you got a lot of opportunities. One can prefer to be, investor is conservative. One can use, defensive approach and buy Infosys. Otherwise, one wants to make alpha. I would, as I already discussed, I would prefer Scient. For that matter, even Axelia, Solutions, which has come out with the results yesterday, like other IT companies, was slightly subdued, but the Axelia, which is owned by world's largest asset management company, is trading at around 18-19 PE. So it has got the highest profit margin in the country among the small and mid-sized IT companies. So I would prefer stocks like Axelia or Scient to KPIT.
Okay, so caution is warranted. We'll talk about this a little bit more after this very quick break. Mr. Chokalingam, Kush, do stay with us. We'll be back on the other side to take more questions.
They say fortune favors the prepared. The more prepared you are using the tools of technical and fundamental analysis, the more returns you can make at the markets. Join me, Gautam Shah, at NDTV Profit's special session for investors. See you there.
Why do you think Akasa Air and your own role as a CEO fits the bill? Have you been a disruptor in the space? What has been the one USP that you think makes you stand apart?
Just you get your fundamentals correct. And it's the sum total of these fundamentals which is our USP. And let me walk you through some of them. So making sure that we continue to be India's most on-time airline as we are for the second year in a row.
What are the lessons that you've learned from the mistakes that you saw being made?
Some of the airlines that have come before us have been extremely undercapitalized. People wanted to retain control and therefore, ran out of cash.
I present the budget for a historic
It's nearly time for Budget 2025, and what that means is that there are a lot of proposals that are coming through to the Finance Minister, and among them, there are proposals from the mutual fund industry as well. I'll talk about three key changes that they are suggesting. One is a rollback in the tax rates that was announced last year. Of course, last year, the capital gains tax, long-term and short-term, was increased to 12.5% and 20% respectively. The mutual fund industry is saying a rollback to the previous rates would be beneficial because it would incentivize more investors to come through and invest, and those people that have come into the investment fold into the mutual fund industry over the past couple of years will be rewarded for their patience and for their investments. The second proposal has to do with the tax treatment on debt mutual funds. Currently, all capital gains emerging from debt mutual funds are taxed at slab rate, and what that means is that depending on which income slab you fall in, if you're in the highest tax slab and you're paying 30% on the income above a certain threshold, your gains from debt mutual funds are also taxed at 30%. That wasn't always the case. Long-term capital gains came into effect after a period of 3 years, and they were taxed at 20% with indexation benefits. Of course, that doesn't remain the case anymore. So the mutual fund industry is asking for a rollback to the previous tax treatment because they say that the debt market in India is growing, is emerging, and it needs to be incentivized. The third change that they're suggesting has to do with the income distribution schemes. Of course, there are two types of schemes in mutual funds. One is the growth scheme, where all gains are reinvested by the fund manager. And in the second case, which is the dividend distribution scheme as it used to be called, the income is distributed on an ongoing basis to unit holders. Now, the thing is, income above 5,000 rupees that is distributed in this manner will have to have tax deducted at source, or TDS, as things stand right now. And the mutual fund industry is suggesting that this threshold be raised to 50,000 rupees, and they expect that this will benefit a lot of people because they won't then have to have tax deducted at source. Of course, there are more proposals that they've made, but we'll see what the finance minister takes up when she presents her budget for 2025.
The mother of all Kumbh Melas, at a scale never seen before, livelihoods of lakhs in the balance.
NDTV Profit is boots on the ground at the Mahakumbh in Prayagraj.
Managing 45 crore pilgrims with high-tech gadgets. Don't miss Kumbhonomics on NDTV Profit.
watching Ask Profit, a show where we get all your stock related queries answered, whether they're fundamental or technical. For viewers who are just tuning in, you can either call us or WhatsApp us on the number that's flashing on your screen. Moving on to the next caller, DP Roy from Surat is calling in. A very good morning to you. How can we help you?
Good morning, ma'am. Thank you for joining me. My query is related to the Adani Wilmar.
Okay.
Ma'am, I purchased Adani Wilmar at the cost of 100 shares at the cost of 757.33 rupees.
Okay.
Now, presently, I am going through the loss of 49,800.
Right.
So, my question is to the that should I hold this or shall I sell it? Because I can hold it for a couple of other months. Means I can go ahead with an year also with this.
Right.
I have no issues. So my query to the expert is that can they suggest me, because I invested mainly showing the growth of the organization at that point of time.
Right.
So, and being the biggest industrialist in the country.
Right.
Of course, in the Asia, and of course, he is one of the biggest company in the world also.
Right.
So my thought process is that he will be growing.
Question, Mr. Roy, thanks so much for your question. Let me go across to Kush on this one. Kush, on the charts, what would you say about this particular trade?
So he's bought at extremely elevated levels. Now, the kind of moves that the stock has been seeing, there have been some recovery and revival that was underway, even that got sold into. My suggestion would be to keep a strict stop loss around the 250 mark. If that is broken, the stock could slip to further lower levels. But with the kind of positive divergences that we are seeing and the gap that has been created around the 290 mark one, and then you see around the 320 mark, there's a possibility that the gap might come around to fill. Now that is still a long way away from his buying price, but at least it will reduce the losses that he has. So keep a strict stop loss around the 250 mark. If that is broken, exit. If not, it will give you an opportunity to reduce the losses that you're making currently.
And in the best of the best stocks, of course, it also helps for you to keep a stop loss, Mr. Roy. And thank you so much for calling us. By the way, the standard disclaimer here, this is NDTV Profit, part of the NDTV group. And you are, we just spoke about Adani Wilmar, which is part of the Adani group. Chanakya from Hyderabad has got the next question. Cello World is the name of the counter. 3,000 shares have been bought at price of 780 rupees per share. The holding is for 3 months. Should you hold for another few months, as the target is around 1,100? The stock is currently trading at 666. Chanakya, you've got a very, very aggressive target on the stock, and you've lost quite a bit of ground. You are currently undergoing a loss. Kush, target of 1,100. At what point do you see this happening?
Alex, the stock's actually seeing quite a bit of a drubbing, and this is even before the market started to correct. So it's not sitting pretty right now. While of course today the stock is about 1%, and a half, a little over than that up. But this is actually a rebound from oversold territories. The volumes even haven't abated on the way down, despite the stock slipping so much. So my suggestion would be keep a strict stop loss at today's day low. If that is broken, this slide could continue further. If not, then the oversold nature will act as a support, and he could see some sort of a rebound. The upside that I'm looking at currently is 700, 705, to be precise. And once that is taken out, perhaps even a 740. So somewhere close to his buying price. Not sure when the 1100 kind of levels will be taken out. It could perhaps be some time, unless there is a lot of positive news coming into the stock. But otherwise, right now there are a lot of supply zones in the interim. So I would hold with today's day low close to the 645 mark as a stop loss, and just try and exit at a lesser loss.
All right, so that's the view on Cello World, and 666 is the number on the ticker right now. Anup is calling us from Tamil Nadu. Anup, good morning, and how can we help you today?
Yeah, so I have this query regarding Syrma SGS.
Syrma, yes. Please go ahead.
So it is right time to enter now, or that wanted to know on the fundamental view? The valuation seems higher.
Okay, so you've looked at the valuations as well?
Yes, it is trading at 80 PE. That's
yes. Okay, and yeah, that is slightly higher than the 3-year average. The stock has done particularly well over the last 3 months. If we can pull up the chart, it's up as much as 23%. It's up and about in trade today as well, or 21% or thereabouts, right? So, Mr. Choklingam, on the fundamentals, the viewer has already pointed out that he feels that the valuations might be a little stretched. What do you think?
Sorry, I agree with the investor. He himself is aware of the fact that it is extremely stretched. So, also the stock is showing momentum. So, in case it crashes 500, I think fundamentally it's a good sell.
On the fundamentals, it's a sell, is it?
Yes, around 500 level, it is a sell.
Okay, and it's you obviously wouldn't deploy right now, but is there anything in the space that it operates in? It's in the EMS space, which I think a lot of people have found interesting. But Mr. Choklingam, I didn't think that Dixon results were too bad, but then you saw what happened with the stock. It's gotten drubbed quite a bit. And I think that had to do with the investment that it was planning and the impact that it would have on working on working capital. So therefore, what is the view on the space? Would you buy anything?
Instead of holding this stock, I would prefer a Dixon. Of course, personally, I would not use the buying, but in terms of size and the recent growth, that looks better.
Right. The next query is from Raju, who's from Bengaluru. Before I move on to his query, he's written, Alex, that NDTV Profit is an amazing platform to review your investment and coverage of all companies. Is simply fantastic. Thank you so much for those kind words, Raju.
Mera day.
Yeah, Mera day, absolutely. The query that he has is on Suzlon. He's bought 300 shares at 69 a piece, and he wants to know the fundamentals and valuations with respect to the same. He's a long-term investor, so he doesn't mind holding the stock for over a year. Mr. Choklingam, I'll come back to you again. Suzlon, he's sitting on a loss of almost 4,000 odd rupees. Should he stay invested?
No, I looked at the fundamentals. It is extremely stretched. The renewable energy space itself getting crowded and intensive in terms of competition. Large industrial houses are also becoming very aggressive. So therefore, I would give a sell call on Suzlon. One can consider, instead of Suzlon at this valuation, it is better to buy slightly stretched valued stock like a JSW Energy.
All right. The next caller is Nirmal from Chennai. Nirmal, a very good morning to you. How can we help you?
Yeah, good morning. So I bought Motilal Oswal Financial Services after the budget.
Okay.
I bought it at the level of 530.
Okay.
So the stock has been volatile for a while now. So I want to know if I could hold it for a long term or I could sell it and buy something else in the same theme.
Right. Nirmal, why Motilal Oswal specifically? Did you read the fundamentals?
Yeah, I thought it was fundamentally a strong stock and it has been there for a while as well. And the specific theme was doing well at the time as well, so I bought it.
Got it. Mr. Choklingam, I'll again come to you. Motilal Oswal, do you think the fundamentals are strong enough to keep holding it?
Certainly for long term, because this equity wealth management business is going to do extremely well in the long term. But we know the kind of situation now in the capital market. So in the short term, I am a little concerned. It might correct, but if somebody wants to hold it for beyond 2 years, it's good to hold this stock.
All right, so it's a hold on Motilal Oswal. This is a question coming in from Ankitesh, and Ankitesh is asking about a company called Sterling Tools. I pulled it up, and it's something that is done not too much over the course of the last 3 months, but over the last 6 months. It's done quite a bit. He's bought at levels of 550, which is slightly higher than the current market price, and he's wondering what to do. Should he hold or should he exit at this point? Kush, if you can pull up the charts of Sterling Tools, it's currently trading at 505. What is the strategy that you would employ here?
Alex, this did pop up on our, our certain indicators as well when we were, when we scanned the markets and we scanned stocks. But the reason this never got converted into a call was, one, it doesn't have all that great a volume. I'm not saying it's, it's not worth trading or investing in, but that didn't really fit a few parameters, even from the fundamental side. My suggestion is, it's seen a sharp rise and then a very sharp fall. I'm not sure if such a volatility is, a healthy thing for the stock. However, what I would do is I would suggest, a strict stop loss around the 490, 485 zone, because that's the support zone that the stock is held on to for about a year. Again, it's back to those levels. So if it has to rebound, it has to do from those levels. Otherwise, you're looking at 460, 450 kind of levels as well, where the 200-day moving average lies. So hold, but keep a strict stop loss around the 485 mark. Slightly deepish from the current level as well, but that gives you an opportunity to see the stock rebound at least to your levels or closer to your levels, from where you'd invested.
All right, so that's a view on Sterling Tools. Let's pull up IRFC, Indian Railway Finance Corporation. This is the next company that we're talking about. And I'm glad that we pulled up the 12-month chart, because our next caller has bought IRFC at levels of 22 rupees. Gaurav, thanks so much for calling us. You're calling us from Gurugram. When did you buy this stock?
Oh, hi. Hello, everyone.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Actually, I got this stock in January 22. I accumulated it in Feb 22, and then till March till June 22. I accumulated it till June 22.
Okay.
So average price was 22. Now I sold. I had 400 quantity. Now I sold it. I think half of it. Now I have 200 in my kitty.
What level did you sell the 200 at?
On multiple levels, 133, 151, 145, so 181. Yeah.
Got it. Go ahead. Please go ahead.
So I just wanted to know, how should I proceed further now in this case? Is there any upside which experts might see in this stock, or I can reduce further?
Okay.
I can reduce it further.
Gaurav, help me understand. You bought it based on the fundamentals of the stock, or is this based on the trajectory that you saw in the prices?
Well, actually, I was doing some sector analysis. I do it every year. Basis that, I chose this stock because it was good, according to me, in railway finances. It was a good fundamental stock in sector-wise. It was, for me, it was the best choice at that time. And it was not in discussion in any forum at that time. So I thought it might create some impact later. So luckily it got somewhat well by portfolio.
Yeah.
So, and I was lucky in that way. Yeah.
Lucky, or you did your research well? I'd like to think that it is the latter rather than the former. Because Mr. Choklingam, good research and a pragmatic approach is perhaps in the long term better than luck, right? So from that perspective, on the fundamentals, would you hold on to something that you bought at 22 levels? And what is this potential upside based on where you're seeing things right now?
It looks like he is also equally expert or better than us. So I don't know whether he needs our advice. I looked at the fundamentals. In terms of price to book value, it is still extremely stretched. And of course, all small PSUs crashed. So on the basis of recent meltdown in the PSUs, I would prefer a Balmalari company to IRFC. In terms of price to book value, IRFC, while it is trading at a stretched valuation, Balmalari company, after 35% correction, it's trading at around 16 PE with a lot of cash on the books. So, and it's also engaged in the logistic business. So I would have a strong conviction in Balmalari company. Just as a disclosure, we have invested, through family as well as through economics in Balmalari company.
Just a clarification, are you saying that he should exit his holding in IRFC and move to Balmalari? Is that the approach?
Yes, IRFC is a sell, Balmalari company is a buy.
Okay.
All right. The next caller is Ravi from Vijayawada. Ravi, a very good morning to you. I believe you have a question on India Shelter.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, go ahead with your query.
Yeah, I'm holding India Shelter 150 shares at the rate of 700. So I just want to know about the fundamentals of this company.
Okay. Any specific reason as to why you bought India Shelter specifically?
Yeah, I thought, thinking that affordable housing segment would grow, and this company looks attractive as per valuation, so that I thought invested.
Okay. Mr. Chokalingam, according to him, the valuations look attractive for India Shelter. What is your view?
Sorry, I get to study this stock. I haven't studied, so I'm not able to give any view.
Okay. Then on the charts, Kush, how does the stock fare?
Not too great, I'm afraid. And my suggestion would be to exit because it's had a fair share of volatility, dropped quite a bit. But yesterday, today, if you see, it's also gone below the medium-term support zone of 630 on the back of fairly decent volumes. I think there could be some more downside before the stock sees any kind of recovery. So for me, India Shelter is an exit.
Shyam Metallics is the name of the counter that we're talking about next, and this is Pradeep's question. He has bought at levels of 350 and he's making quite a bit of a gain in the stock. The stock is currently trading at 804, so the gains are to the magnitude of over 5 lakhs, 5.5 lakhs or thereabouts right now. So the question is, should you keep holding? He is ready to hold for the long term. Mr. Chokalingam, on the fundamentals, would you hold on?
It's a good management. It has achieved a credible business growth also, no doubt. But I am concerned about short-term outlook for the entire space. If you see all metallic, particularly steel-related business, the domestic demand has corrected and imports have fallen and exports have fallen and imports have grown substantially. So I see a lot of pain in this sector, at least for another 1 or 2 quarters. So it's a sell call for short term. In case it corrects 10-15%, then one can buy for long term.
Meghmani Organics, Meghmani Organics Limited is the next counter. Gautam is holding around, he's not mentioned the number of shares that he's holding, but his average price of buying is 124. And he's saying that the stock is trading below his average price right now, which is around 79. He wants to know as to what should be the next strategy that he should adopt. Kush, on the charts, how does the stock fare?
Very interesting, actually. The stock's actually taken quite a knock, right? That's the first thing from 116, odd levels. But right now, the momentum indicators are showing quite a bit of an uptick, which is not quite reflected in the stock price. So what I would suggest is hold on to this one, 75 being your stop loss. And if the volume, on the upside, on the delivery markings on the days when the stock is closed positive, and the momentum indicators are anything to go by, there's a possibility that the stock could actually see quite a bit of spike, on the way up. So I am actually looking at targets of 87 as the first level positionally, and once that is taken out, even a 95. That's the kind of setup that we are seeing, despite the stock being in a bit of a range for the last few days. 75 being your stop loss. Continue holding on to this one.
Shankar from Chennai is calling in. Shankar, a very good morning to you. How can we help you?
Very good morning.
Good morning.
First, I want to thank Mr. Chokalingam. 7 years back, Mr. Chokalingam sir recommends Cochin Shipyard.
Okay.
I bought 2018 to 19 from the 400 rupees to 300 rupees. I bought 700 shares, and 4 years it's not moved well. But after suddenly 2022 June, July, it fly. You remember, sir?
Yeah.
And I booked a very handsome profit. First, my sincere thanks to him. And also NDTV. My question is the correct time to buy Hindustan Copper and IRCTC?
I'll take Hindustan Copper for you, Mr. Shankar. And
Okay.
I wanted to know as to you want to buy this from a longer term perspective. You would want to know the fundamentals?
Yes, definitely. Longer term only.
Okay. Mr. Chokalingam, Hindustan Copper is the counter. Your view?
Yeah, thank you for good kind words. In fact, I should admit that I lost patience after 5 years recommending the stock, and I exited a long time. So I should learn from him. Thank you very much. Hindustan Copper, the stock has already corrected 40-45%. Unfortunately, still it is stretched in valuation, but then I would not dare to give sell call because the floating stock is very low, and also it has got a lot of potential in terms of mines. The expansion possibilities are there. It's a good to hold, and post December results, if results are good, then one can buy for long term.
Mr. Chokalingam, please accept my congratulations as well. It's always good when somebody calls in and says thank you for something that you've done, and I think you've made a big difference in their life, so congratulations. And thanks so much, Shankar, for calling us. Sunita from Hyderabad is asking about Anant Raj, which she wants to know about for the long term, and she's defined this as 5 years. She's not currently holding any shares of it right now, but she's contemplating buying. What would you say, Kush, at this juncture? The stock is up about 3% in trade right now, but enough for you to say buy for the long term?
It is. The only thing is that, the stock keeps hitting overbought territories and then, correcting a bit. So it's had that, going for it. But if you look at it from, 3-4 years, it's been a solid multi-bagger. So right now also, technically, there isn't anything that is suggesting that, the stock is perhaps not going to perform or anything of that sort. For me, every decline of about, 10-15% in the stock is a buying opportunity. So yes, she could start buying right now. And that's what I mean. She could start buying right now, and every time she gets that dip, which the stock has been kind enough to provide, on its way up, you should accumulate it at lower levels. So Anant Raj is an accumulate kind of a stock, for the next 6 to 12 months, especially if you have a horizon of, anything more than 3-5 years kind of a time frame. Anant Raj, start buying now and then accumulate on decline.
Accumulate on declines. And I mean, you if you've held the stock for a while, you can be laughing your way all the way to the bank. Let's talk about what comes next. And this is the rapid fire segment. Mr. Chokalingam and Kush, you know what this means. We'll toss as many questions at you over the course of the next 2 minutes. Let me start the first one with Siddharth's question. He's asking about HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics, which he's bought at levels of 4,450. He says he's worried about the G engine supply. Mr. Chokalingam, he's clearly done his research, but would you hold on to this?
Yeah, it's good to hold at current level.
Okay.
All right. Z Entertainment is the counter. Rajesh wants to know whether he should buy at today's price or not. Kush?
Avoid.
Asian Paints bought at levels of 2,292. This is Ramya's question. Is that a significant loss? Mr. Chokalingam, would you hold on at this point?
Yeah, hold for a very long term. In short to medium term, I'm pretty negative on the stock.
All right. Vedanta is the next counter. The person is holding 636 shares. Should he keep holding it from a longer term perspective, Mr. Chokalingam?
Hindustan Zinc is better than Vedanta for both short to long term.
Mr. Chokalingam, Swan Energy, any view? Shubh from Pune wants to know, would you buy?
Yeah, for long term, it's a good buy.
Polymeric.
Sorry, Swan Energy? Yes. Okay, yeah, not the Swan Defense. Yeah, it's a good, yeah.
Okay. Polymeric is the next counter. 22 is the quantity and 2546. Is that right? Yes, that's the buying price. 1 year horizon. Kush, I'll come to you on the charts.
Hold. The stop loss is at 2,300.
Okay, Granules India, and this is a question coming from Sumit Ghosh. Is it a good one to have? He's purchased at levels of 580. Kush?
Oh yes, hold on to this one. Solid moves on this one. On the verge of breakout. For me, the stop loss on this one comes in at 570.
All right, NTPC is the next counter. The person is holding 103 shares at an average price of 337. A good buy or keep holding it for the longer term perspective, Mr. Chokalingam?
Hold for long term.
Mr. Chokalingam, Snowman Logistics been a bit of a disappointment for a lot of people. We've got a viewer, Tony, who's tuned in from Kerala. He wants to know, should he hold on? I think he's holding at a loss of 30%.
I would sell even at this price and buy Balma Lorry Company, which is also into logistic business.
Okay.
We personally hold the stock.
Okay, fantastic. Mr. Chokalingam and Kush, thank you so much for joining in as always, and always a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, that brings us to the end of this edition of Ask Profit from Mahima and myself and everybody that put the show together. Thank you so much for watching. We've got lots lined up over the course of the day. I'd encourage you to stay tuned. This is NDTV Profit.
They say fortune favors the prepared. The more prepared you are, using the tools of technical and fundamental analysis, the more returns you can make at the markets. Join me, Gautam Shah, at NDTV Profit's special session for investors. See you there.
This January, the world will come together at the World Economic Forum at Davos to bridge differences because the stakes have never been higher. Collaboration in an intelligent age. In a Trump 2.0 and Modi 3.0 era, this becomes the primary agenda. And the tallest leaders in the business and political world will try and get answers to the most pressing questions. How do we fix a fractured global economy? How do we combat climate change and create a future of opportunity for all? And how does India navigate the opportunities and challenges of 2025? Join me, Neeraj Shah, as we bring all the action from the World Economic Forum for the month of January to your homes, only on NDTV Profit.
Why do you think Akasa Air and your own role as a CEO fits the bill? Have you been a disruptor in the space? What has been the one USP that you think makes you stand apart?
Just you get your fundamentals correct. And it's the sum total of these fundamentals which is our USP. And let me walk you through some of them. So making sure that we continue to be India's most on-time airline as we are for the second year in a row.
What are the lessons that you've learned from the mistakes that you saw being made?
Some of the airlines that have come before us have been extremely undercapitalized. People wanted to retain control and therefore, ran out of cash.
The mother of all Kumbh Melas, at a scale never seen before, livelihoods of lakhs in the balance.
NDTV Profit is boots on the ground at the Mahakumbh in Prayagraj.
Managing 45 crore pilgrims with high-tech gadgets. Don't miss Kumbhonomics on NDTV Profit at these times.
Hey everyone, with Budget 2025 right around the corner, there is one question on everyone's mind. Will this finally be the year salaried individuals get some much needed income tax relief? Let's dive into the story behind the tax slabs, the rising cost of living, and why economists are calling for reforms. First things first. Budget Day is set for 1st February 2025. Expectations are sky high, especially among salaried individuals. But before we talk about predictions, let's rewind a bit. The first big moment for taxpayers was back in the Union Budget for FY 2020-21. That's when the government introduced an optional personal income tax regime with lower tax rates but fewer deductions. Remember that? It shook things up for taxpayers who had to choose between the old system with deductions or the new simplified one. Fast forward to 2023 budget, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman made some tweaks to the new tax regime, expanding
Persistent Systems is one to track on account of the earnings, and it has reported an inline set of numbers, at least with consensus estimates. We'll find out from the management whether it met their own expectations. Joining me now is Vineet Teredesai, who's the Chief Financial Officer of the company. Vineet, thanks so much for taking the time, and congratulations on what looks to be a very good set of numbers. You've delivered on your
promised to expand margins. It's coming at 14.9%. I'll come to that in just a bit. But a lot of people have spoken about execution being the primary factor that has helped you set these numbers up. What would you say?
First of all, thanks for inviting me to your show.